Neil Freeman here. Good morning and welcome to Monday, and it is Meshbesher Monday here on Bob FM, and I have Josh Tuchscherer from Meshbesher and Spence with me. Josh, always a pleasure. Glad to have you again on this Work Monday, and we've covered several different topics the last few weeks. Something I want to talk about today because it's inevitable again. This is going to happen. It shouldn't, perhaps, but it will. You're going to be involved in an accident of some sort, and the person that you're involved with may or may not have insurance or may not have enough insurance. What are my options and what am I looking at?
Yeah, very important, and it's always a pleasure to be with you, Neil, and to have a chance to talk with your listeners. The two areas that we're discussing this morning are, first, underinsured motorist coverage, and second, uninsured motorist coverage.
Okay.
Required that we have to have it. Law requires that we have it in Minnesota, and it's a good thing that we have it.
Sure.
The limits, however, that are required are only $25,000, and those really are insufficient to cover the harms and losses that people suffer, usually in a car crash case. And so when you're buying insurance or you're talking with your agent about the right coverage for you and for your family, to make sure that your family and that you are safeguarded, that you have adequate coverage and that you have the resources available to you if the need arises, make sure that you buy more than the minimum. That's the first thing. You have to buy more than the minimum. Now let's talk about the specifics of them.
Okay.
The underinsured motorist coverage are for situations where you or your loved ones have been harmed, and the coverage available from the at-fault driver, the person that causes the crash, is insufficient. It's not enough to cover your harms and losses. And what you do in those situations is you go back to your own insurance company, knock on their door and say, hey, you have to help us out.
Okay.
And that's why you have it. And that's why it's vitally important that you have adequate coverage so that all of those harms and losses that you or your loved one has suffered get paid for.
Sure.
And, not surprising, there are situations where people don't have insurance. It's against the law, but people do it.
Right.
And so what you need in those instances is to make sure that you have the appropriate uninsured motorist coverage. You have to have it, but again, that $25,000 minimum is insufficient. So if some deadbeat runs into you and he or she doesn't have insurance, you need to have those resources. You need to have them available. So that's why you have to make sure that you have uninsured motorist coverage with sufficient limits.
Okay, to discuss this more, and because if you don't have it at that point, you have no recourse. I would imagine. You know?
Got it. That's right.
So you need to be preemptive on this. You need to attack it before it happens. And for questions or to determine how much I need, I can call you.
Happy to talk with anybody. You got to plan ahead in these instances and make sure that you have the appropriate coverages. We're happy to talk to anybody at Meshbesher and Spence. Phone number, you can reach us by phone or certainly online at meshbesher.com.
All right, that's our topic for today on Meshbesher Monday on Bob FM.